everyone. It's been a while. I think it's been a month. Um, and, I feel that I have a lot of feelings and things to say, as well as do want to provide folks just a mini update about how I'm doing mental health wise. So I've been back on my medication since April. Have dealt with some, uh, you know, other health issues that came up. Seeing multiple specialists, been to physical therapy, as well as continuing with my mental health journey of utilizing a counselor slash therapist, um, changed to a different psychiatrist, also seeing a naturopath to see if there's a more natural way of addressing some of the health issues I've been experiencing for some time. Trying to be more disciplined in taking a more healthier approach to my own, conditions, meaning being better with cooking. Now that summer is finally over, I've made an effort to cook more. Um, but with all that done and said, my mental health is being still closely monitored because we're kind of switching back and forth on the dosage of my medication. Also started neti potting because it's it's been helping with some of the inflammation that happens in this area, right? I don't know if you probably can't see, but I have a bunch of scabs. Um, so just really, really honing down on taking better care of myself. Um, I think I had some time to also process some hard truths about the world, about my life, my mental state. Um, and I have to say, though, um, doing more research and looking into certain things have really led me down to a kind of a rabbit hole in a way, but it's not like haven't been there before. It's really interesting that every time when I become super depressed, I go and look into things I've never looked into, and somehow becomes oddly also a period of self and spiritual enlightenment. I think me experiencing what I was experiencing and had kind of reaffirmed and strengthened my faith in with my relationship with Jesus. I feel like as a person, kind of seeing how everything is unfolding, whether it be within the country or globally, it's important to take a moral stance and believe in what you believe in. And, I think at a certain point, you can't continue to be neutral or being passive. You have to take a stance. I think that's the only way. Granted, sometimes I still feel like, is that the right thing to do? Is that, there are going to be some really hard repercussions or limitations as to what might go down. And even then, nothing in the future is certain, of course. But I think human life is a struggle. But I think if we can learn about ourselves, what we stand for, what we will not tolerate as a human, as um, as a friend, a partner, a family member, I think we will, we will have a clarity of how to proceed. I say this to say is because I have been researching things that, and I speak to I speak to people who are close to me about it, especially you know my sister. And I think what do you call it? I guess deep in my heart, there's it's a mixture of feelings where it's part hopelessness and part hopefulness that there is still some goodness out there. There are plenty of good people out there, but I do wonder if they realize that they may or may not be contributing to a system that's not necessarily great for the greater scheme of things or for all the people. Everybody has their own opinions on how society and economy should work, but more and more so we're being pushed into into a culture where it praises cutthroat, praises corporatization, praises money, and worships money um, over humanity. I think a really good example of that would be the acceleration of how technology has gotten, especially with AI. Um, how humans are, you know, constantly being dumped in um, dopamine when it comes to social media consumption. I'm definitely an offender of that as well because I watch a lot of YouTube, um, and that decreases. It has been spoken of and researched that it does decrease um, our attention spans. And now that we have younger kids that are being exposed to it earlier, um, that the medium is no longer constrained to a TV, right? And even the type of information that is being consumption or material of being consumption isn't necessarily controlled or filtered. Um, I just feel like it's not the greatest thing for our mental health and for our new generation. Take a look at some of the kids that are being exposed to certain types of music. They don't necessarily understand what is being said, but they're throwing out a cuss storm. Um, and they're not able to do basic arithmetic, and their reading level is lower than where they need to be at this time. The quality of living hasn't greatly increased, has actually stagnated. Um, and with inflation and the rise of living costs, but as technology continues to accelerate, so and then there's talks of job replacement. So who's to say that we're actually progressing in the right direction? And some questions that should be asked is who's benefiting from this, right? Who's tied to all this, and if even information consumption is, with how algorithms are built, um, who's to say that stuff isn't being pushed in a direction to make us think a certain way, to live a certain way, to be controlled a certain way? Maybe it sounds conspiratorial, but if you follow the money, and if we're diligent and we do all our reading, you'll see that we've been intentionally being dumbed down by stuff, by forces that are beyond our comprehension. I don't necessarily mean the paranormal, it's actually happening. But don't take my word for it, right? Definitely don't take my word for it. I would say do your own reading, do your own research. And it kind of aligns with what I was saying in some of my previous videos, is that we should take everything with a grain of salt. Even my word of, I luck, I don't have that many followers, which is, you know, that's fine for me because I'm just recording this down for my own purposes as well. But take everything with a grain of salt and be skeptical about everything. And keep asking questions, be curious, do your due diligence. Don't only watch or read only certain types of news, because right now, as you can see, TikTok has been bought out. CBS News has been bought out. New York Times, Wall Street Journal has been bought out. Chicago News Tribune has been bought out. New Yorker has been bought out. Even Time Magazine and all those other well-established, published, and renowned. There's definitely a lot of special interests that are tied in there. So still read it. I wouldn't say don't read it, but understand that it might be coming from an angle. So it's good to get perspectives of the same story, but different types of perspectives to give you a full picture. And even if it's not a full picture, at least it'll give you a 65% of what the picture of the story is really. And then don't neglect to use your noggin, because that's your best defense against lies, right? And then granted, with faith, it could guide you into also in helping you discern what's right and wrong. Yeah. I'll probably try to do more learning about the different faiths, different texts, because I really do want to know what the hell is happening. What is being preached? Do I really understand the Bible, kind of thing? I think I'm making this a project for myself to just become more to just know more about what's really happening. Granted, I don't really have a plan on how to brace myself for some of these changes because I feel it's way beyond my control. But hopefully, in a way, even if I may not be able to escape what's to come, I do hope I know what the truth is, and I'll be able to spread that information to those that I care about. Yeah, but not to let it eat into my mental health, because I think back then it did really leave me in a very dark place. Made me feel very like I didn't really have much of an agency. Even granted now, I would say my agency is limited, but I'm trying to take a little bit more of control of my life, and need to make changes from somewhere. There's a starting point for anywhere. So yeah, trying to be more optimistic, and my mood has fairly stabilized at this point. I've been very diligent with keeping up with my meds, my routine, trying to be more active. So hopefully, with God's blessing, I'll continue to get better. I hope this state kind of sustains over a period of time. I certainly don't want to go down that spiral. And I just want to say again, I'm very fortunate to have the people in my life that I do. Not everybody's very fortunate to have that, and my heart goes out to them. I will say a prayer for all of them, and if they're hurt, they need help, support. Hopefully, the prayers can bring them to the light, can bring them to Jesus Christ. So, yeah, I wish everybody the best. I wish everybody peace, fulfillment, and health. Because without health, without that's and health encompasses many different things. Your health is priceless, right? So, hope everybody takes good care of themselves. All right, stay safe.